What's going on, everybody? Good Wednesday to you, and welcome to the jungle. Lots to talk about in the association tonight. Only 6 games, but did a lot of digging. Lots of things came across the desk, and I found plays that I like for each and every one of these games. We'll get right to it. Let's recap yesterday. Yesterday was a son of a bitch across the industry. We were 1-8 overall, one of our worst days we've had in about a year, but that's how it goes, man. Tobias Harris over 19.5 PRA for Sharon. She's on that today. She likes Julius Randle over 19.5 points as well against who are they playing again? Against the against the Clippers. But yeah, we had a rough day yesterday, but that's part of the game, man. There's a reason the windshield is bigger than the rearview mirror. We're still very profitable for the entire year, and we're looking ahead. We like what we got going on today. The most important thing is to not let yesterday influence today. There's a saying in sports betting that I love. I use very often. It's up T, and that's the last thing you saw isn't the only thing you saw. So we're actually going back to a couple bets today that missed, like Pascal Siakam. He's not been under those 20.5 points twice this year. He's not going to do it again. So we're going back to a few things yesterday that missed, but looking forward to today, looking forward to the action. I've got 8 plays on my personal bet card that I sent out to Jungle members today. You can become a Jungle member. Sharon Stokes, what are you waiting for? Silverbackjungle.com. Click Become a Jungle member. We have a free weekly trial. Take it for a test and see if you like it. Let's go. First game we're going to look at. And Sharon, I like that you're on it here. You're going game by game with me here. Clippers and Wolves. Sharon's on Harden over 5.5 rebounds, I think is a great bet. Sharon also likes Julius Randle over 19.5 in this game. Here's 3 things that have been trending with the Wolves and the Clippers, okay? Norman Powell has been over his points and assists line in 4 of his last 5 games. James Harden has been under his points and assists line in 8 of his last 10. Jaden McDaniels of the Timberwolves has been over his points and rebounds line of 13.5 and 8 of his last 10 games. I do like Sharon's bet for James Harden over rebounds a lot. The problem with Harden, though, is he's very streaky. He might get 9. Early on in the season, his line was 6.5. I bet on his under twice and got burned both times. He's kind of hard, but then there's been times his line's been 5.5, and he's 4.5. He's gotten 10. He's gotten 12. So he's very hard to bet on. With rebounds, I do like Sharon's pick, but I believe the best bet in this game today between the Wolves and the Clippers. Anybody guess where I'm going here? Something I haven't mentioned. Player I haven't mentioned. Anyone know where I'm going today with the Clippers and the Wolves? It's a bet that I like. It was on my YouTube video earlier. Best bet in this game is Nickeil Alexander-Walker over 7.5 points. He's over this in 8 of his last 10 games, and Alexander-Walker hasn't had a game of less than 12 points in his last 4. 7.5 is too low of a line for him. I'm all over it today, and you should be too. Nickeil Alexander-Walker over 7.5 points for Minnesota. He's taken 4.5, 5 3-pointers a game, and his line's at 7.5. And he's going to make 2 of those and get 1 foul shot, and we're good to go. Moving on to only 6 games today. Moving on to game number 2, we have the Magic and the 76ers. Here are 3 things that have been trending with these teams. Jalen Suggs has been under his 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists line in 8 of his last 10 games. Kelly Oubre Jr. has been over his 0.5 blocks line in 4 of his last 5 games. You're getting plus money there. If you remember on yesterday's broadcast, I gave you Donovan Mitchell over 1.5 steals. It was plus 150. He ended up with 3. That ended up smashing. If you took it, good on you. But I like this play again today, too. I think that Oubre gets a block over 4 of his last 5 for plus money. I'd be on that. Franz Wagner has been very, very good. He's good all the time. But Banchero, his stat sheet has been stuffed to the heavens. He's been over his 31.5 points and assist line in 7 of his last 10. I know it's a popular fade today, Franz Wagner. People don't think he's going to keep that pace up, and he's been fading a little bit. But I do like Wagner today over 31.5 points. I don't think Philly D is going to be that tough on him. That tough for him, I should say. Your best bet of the day, in my opinion, is Kentavious Caldwell-Pope over 8.5 points. He's with the Magic now, shoots a lot of 3-pointers. But over this in 4 of his last 5 games. Pinnacle has this listed at minus 122. DraftKings has it for plus 105. That's massive EV expected value on KVP over 8.5 points. He's taking 6 3-pointers a game, for Christ's sake. And his line's at 8.5 points. You got to push the button on that. Guys getting over 30 minutes a game. KVP, play that over 8.5 points. Game number 3. It's going to be a short broadcast today, guys, by the way, too, with only 6 games and no NFL. So game number 3, Lakers and the Heat. LeBron James. I won't call him, he's not my king, but he has been trending to the under 30.5 points and assists in 4 of his last 5 games. Now, this is a bold claim, and I respect everything that he's done to kind of hold off Father Time. But LeBron James has shown a little bit of wear around the edges recently for, I think, the first time in his golden years here. For the first time, he's been ice cold from the outside, under 30.5 points and assists under 4 of his last 5 games. Sharon likes AD over 12.5 rebounds. I think that's a good play. He'll be battling with Bam down there. Only thing I don't love is that Bam likes the mid-range jump shot, Sharon, and that's going to pull AD, who's going to be guarding him out to around the foul line. So it's going to be his defensive rebounds will be maybe 1 or 2 less than ordinary. That's the only thing I don't like about that play, but I do like AD rebound props in most nights over 12.5. I think that's a good take today. For the most part, Haywood Highsmith has been trending for under 7.5 points and assists, under in 4 of his last 5, and you can get that for plus money today. Jimmy Butler's a game time decision. I like Highsmith's under with or without Jimmy Butler today. Anthony Davis has been a first quarter scoring machine. Anthony Davis has been over 7.5 first quarter points in 7 of his last 10 games. Your best bet today, in my opinion, however, and there's massive, massive EV on this bet. Pinnacle and most books have this listed at minus 150, so they think it's a 70% chance that it's going to hit. 68 to 70% is what minus 150 is. FanDuel currently has it right before this broadcast. I checked. FanDuel has that minus 120. So it's a 30-point advantage for most books to FanDuel. That's pretty rare. Do you know what it is? 5 seconds to guess what it is. Prop in the Heat and Lakers game. Most books have 150. FanDuel's got minus 120. Hop on it like a puma on an antelope, baby. What is it? In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's Tyler Hero. Over 4.5 assists. Grab it. And thank you tomorrow. Pistons versus Celtics, my 2 favorite teams here. And this goes back to what I referenced at the beginning of the broadcast, when the last thing you saw isn't the only thing you saw. And it's very tough because people sometimes, myself included, I've been this way in the past with sports betting. When a player burns you, when a team burns you, when a bet goes crooked, goes sideways, goes south, baby, right? Even if that player is the cock of the walk, it's tough to jump on him the next time. It's tough to bet him again, especially the next day on a back-to-back because you're burned. But there were some plays yesterday that we had that were outlier performances, that the averages are going to creep back up to what they were. The expectation is going to come back to what it is, to what it should be. In fact, there's even more of a reason to take those players today. Here's a good example. Yesterday, we had Malik Beasley over 13.5 points. He missed layups. He threw some hair balls up there for 3. He had the shots. His shot average was there, okay, against Milwaukee. He just didn't get the points. He had been over that in 9 of his last 10 games, 13.5 points. Now today, his points and assist line is 12.5. Pound that. Get on that. Malik Beasley. Man, over 12.5 points and assists. Get on it. I'm on it. I'm going back to him today. He's not going to let us down 2 games in a row, even though they're playing the Celtics. The Celtics have some weird things going on, man. The Celtics have some weird injury stuff. Tatum's line's been fluctuating all day. Is Jaylen Brown playing? We don't know. Is Derek White playing? We're not sure. We don't know. So a lot of the props for the Celtics have been slow to be released. Peyton Pritchard's not even out there. Sam Hauser's not out there because they don't know who's going to play. The thing with the Celtics, and the line is 14.5 today, but the thing with the Celtics is if they're not making the three ball, okay, the Pistons are going to hang around this game. I know it sounds crazy. I'm not going to take them with the points because they can get blown out. I'm not going to take them on the money line, but I do like their props today. JP Bickerstaff, what he does, he manages the minutes so very well. A good example is Jalen Duren last year fouled out of almost every game because he fouled everyone. He couldn't keep his hands to himself. He was playing Epstein Island every single game with the Pistons. Okay, he was playing 30 minutes, but this time Bickerstaff he's 22, 23 minutes a game. He's managing that. Cade Cunningham's on a back-to-back. We're going to talk about his assist line in a minute, but Cade Cunningham, he's going to play 30, 32 minutes today. I don't see why he's not going to. Jaden Ivey disappeared yesterday. He'll play more today. Okay, so Pistons, Celtics. No lines out for the Celtics except for Tatum. Pistons lines that I love. And again, this is my favorite team, but I bet against them often. I take their unders often. It's a team I know very well, but I don't let that influence me. So Malik Beasley, over 12.5 points and assists, over 9 of his last 10. Take that, for God's sakes. His over 13.5 points was solid yesterday. It was a solid play, didn't hit. But now we get his assists as well. He's had as many as 6 assists this year. Grab that. To Jaden Ivey, over 3.5 assists, has hit in 8 of his last 10 games. He'll be active today. Malik Beasley, over 2.5 3-pointers, has hit in 8 of his last 10 games. 10 of his last 12, Malik Beasley. He'll make some threes today. He'll be back to it. He's a professional shooter. God damn it. But your best bet today, and this price makes me a little bit skeptical because I believe the books think he's going to play a little bit less, but he can get this in 2.5 quarters. For plus money, Cade Cunningham, over 7.5 assists for plus money. Over this in 10 of his last 11 games, only 6 yesterday. The way that they play, he facilitates. I was talking to T-Bone about this yesterday. Beasley and Hardaway Jr. spread the wings out for him. That allows him to facilitate to one side or the other with single coverage, not worried about his zone, not worried about anything that's double if a three-point shooter's hot. This allows him to drive and distribute to Ivy or distribute to Jalen Duren. I like Cade Cunningham over 7.5 assists today. It's worth the risk for plus money. Absolutely, no doubt about it. We've got 2 games to go. Hawks and Bucks. The Hawks have been my most profitable team to take props on so far this season. And here are 3 things. They score and they let up points. So they average 5 more possessions a game than most teams, which is a ton in the NBA. Here are 3 things that have been trending with the Hawks. Bucks running back-to-back, and they old. So they might be resting. Giannis's points line's 3.5 points. Sharon, let me ask you a question. Did you get the DeAndre Hunter play from my YouTube video? Because that's my play today, too. I love it. Over 14.5 points. Sharon's on it, man. That is the play today. DeAndre Hunter's a stud. But here are 3. I like it, Sharon. I like it. I appreciate that. So here is what has been trending with the Hawks and Bucks. Trae Young has been under 4.5 first quarter points in 10 straight games. Now it's scary. If I were to look at that line for Trae Young of under 4.5 first quarter points, if I were to look at that, because that's just 1 3-pointer, 1 2-pointer. If I were to look at that for 10 straight games that he's been under, pardon me, I look at it and say, you got to be out of your freaking mind. There's no way. Crazy. It's been hitting. That's why you have to look at these things and not just go with your gut or what you think. But Trae Young has been under 4.5 first quarter points in 10 straight games. He's had a hard time getting going, but also he's got good shooters that he can distribute to. DeAndre Hunter, who will come off the bench, but he'll be in. Trae Young will play the whole first quarter most likely. Zach Richiche, he's been awesome. Right? Jalen Johnson has been one of the best players in the association. So he's got Bogey. He's got guys he can distribute to. I think it might be worth a shot. I didn't play it personally, but I think it's worth a shot. Jalen Johnson's over 23.5 points and assists over 9 of his last 10. Here's another play that I like Jalen Johnson today. I like him over 13.5 rebounds and assists. He's been an assist machine. He's getting 4 or 5 assists a game. and he has many 17 rebounds in a game. I think that's a no-brainer today for me. Jalen Johnson over 13 and a half rebounds and assists. In fact, that's just a play I sent out to my jungle members right before this broadcast. I would hop on that. Zach Risache has been over the Frenchman, the first overall pick last season, has been over 14 and a half points in 4 straight games. I'm sorry, 14 and a half points and assists. Nope. Sorry. Wrong line. Imagine my embarrassment. Sorry. Zach Risache has been over 10 points and assists in 8 of his last 10. So Risache over 10 and a half points and assists in 8 of his last 10. The Hawks move the ball around. They touch the ball a lot. They touch it, feel it, love it, smell it, rub it down. But they have they move the ball a lot, and they got a lot of assists on their buckets. Risache over 10 and a half points and assists. I like a lot. I take his even just as over points and 9.5 as well. DeAndre Hunter is sharing preface for us. Over 14 and a half points. I like this a lot today. Over in 4 straight games. He's had at least 20 points in 6 of his last 10. His line's sitting here at 14 and a half points against the Bucks, who do give up a lot of points. And his shot production, his usage has not gone down. This is a very low line. I played up to 16 and a half, to be honest. I know it sounds like silly, but DeAndre Hunter for 14 and a half price is an absolute slam dunk. Last game of the night, we got the Pacers and the Brooklyn Nets. Here are 3 things that have been trending. Tyrese Halliburton under 9.5 assists. He's been under this in 9 of his last 10. The ever so streaky Halliburton. Miles Turner under 16 and a half points in 7 of his last 10. The unpredictable Dennis Schroeder has been under 19 and a half points in 7 of his last 10 games. But your best bet today, and I'm going back to him. He hurt us yesterday, but I'm going back to him today. Your best bet in this game, he won't be under 2 games in a row. It's not what he does. It's Pascal Siakam over 20 and a half points for the Pacers. So we have a couple of plays that we're going back to that were outlier performances to the under yesterday that makes the over even more probable with that coin flip bet today. All right, that's our agenda today, guys. Do you guys have any questions for me before we get out? Is there anything you want me to look at before we leave? Let me know. I like Sharon Stokes, James Harden over 5.5 rebounds. I think that's something that I might add on today. But anything you want me to look at, guys, before we go, we got a TikTok broadcast at 4:00 p.m. Eastern time today. I'd love to see you over there for the support over there. All right, we're going to get out. I'm going to see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a big show. We have a lot of games in the association. I think 10 games in the association. And we have the Lions and Packers. I want you to get ahead of this right now. So the over-under line for the Packers-Lions is 51 and a half, okay? I want you to watch that. If it drops to 51, grab the over because 51 is a very key number. That's the 27-24, man. Okay, so 49 or 50 and a half, 51. Keep an eye on that. If it drops to that, grab the over, and I'll see you tomorrow. We'll talk about that game as well as everything in the association at 3:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We out.